Today we're standing at AfriForum's recyclable waste sorting facility, a facility where tons of recyclable waste is sorted for recycling, and this is waste that would otherwise end up on landfills, like in most municipalities across Gauteng, landfills that are rapidly running out of airspace.
It's becoming a bigger problem due to the fact that recycling is not happening as it's supposed to be within municipalities. Unfortunately, communities are paying the price.
And just to be clear, we're talking about municipal landfill sites. And because we're looking at Gauteng, we invited all three of the metropolitan municipalities to participate in our documentary. So the city of Tshwane, Johannesburg and Ekurhuleni. Unfortunately, it was only Tshwane that agreed to speak to us. Nevertheless, looking at public records and the data that is available, we can still form a very clear picture of what the situation is on municipal landfill sites.
And at every step, we'll be right here to connect the dots, as this is a visible problem that's happening in crisis that's in South Africa when looking at illegal dumping that's in the increase, as well as landfill space that's running out.
The core of the issue we're looking at is the lifetime of the municipal landfill sites across Gauteng. Across all three of the metros, there's 13 landfill sites, and all of them are under severe pressure. On average, there's only 4 years of remaining life on these landfill sites.
And that's only the primary layer. When looking deeper into this crisis, it unfolds to where municipalities, as the landfill sites are closing, we've got a massive problem that there are no new sites being promised by the municipalities or the metropolitans, meaning that there is no plan ahead for future for new landfill sites to be opened.
As will become clearer from our discussions with the experts, there's more to this problem. It's not just the lifespan of the landfill sites, but it's also the fact that they're not operating within legal limits, and the landfill sites are also already being operated beyond their original operating life.
And with this, the implications of landfills being overfull and airspace running out, we have a problem that these kind of waste now ends up in the environment.
And I think that's what we want to illustrate with this documentary. It's an issue that's in the background that very few people are aware of. You throw waste away, but that away is somewhere. The waste must either end up on a legal landfill, or it will end up on a riverbank or in an open veld or next to somebody's property.
I think from my perspective, I don't think it should be a point of panic, because predominantly we need to look at the waste generation rate in the city, at what percentage is it growing, and the population figure, because it contributes towards the rate at which the landfill site space is moving. So when you look at an average of between 8 to 10 years landfill airspace, meaning all of them combinedly, we still have a bit of time, so that we can be able to circumvent what you are referring to as a bigger problem that might be coming through in the city of Tshwane.
We would be talking about 60, 70, 80 million rand for a cell to construct. That would need to be on top of their budgets to put that into place. Firstly, to find a suitable piece of land that can be developed as a landfill facility are really scarce. Number two, there's no more available land in the build-up area. So you would need to go outside of the town, and around about 30 to 40 to 50 kilometers away, to find that suitable piece of land that can be licensed and can be developed. Now, if you should start to identify a facility today, I can assure you that you will not have a facility up and running within the next 5 years. That's how long it will take to go through the entire EIA process, to get a record of decision, to actually then do the design, go out of construction, construct the facility, and then start to operate. On that basis, even if they start now, we will have a crisis within the next 5 years. There will be a domino effect. So if the one closes, the other one will take double volumes, and the last one will literally fall down within the next 2 years, if so long.
The design of a facility, I believe, shouldn't take more than 6 months. And then that design gets submitted to the authorities. And there's been a tremendous amount of criticism in the industry about the time that it takes for a developer to get a response to an application. I believe that the authorities have gone out of their way to increase capacity. So I believe that the criticism of the past, and that means 10 years ago, 15 years ago, is not really well-founded. Yes, there is a backlog and government departments do prioritize facilities, but I do believe there is room for improvement there, in particular with municipalities, it's assumed that planning is done well in advance. And there are many, many examples of landfills in this country at the moment where facility owners like municipalities and private companies have known that there's an end date to the airspace in their landfill and done nothing about it until they've actually reached that point. For a municipal cell, those cells are typically about a hectare in size. Then depending on the soil conditions and how much rain you have during construction, you can get a facility built in probably 3 months at a push, but more likely 6 months.
Obviously, as a city, we're looking at various intervention, which comes with short-term intervention, medium-term and long-term. And firstly, I would say on the short term, we are looking at engineering solutions that we can put in place in terms of expanding the landfill airspace, more especially in relation to what the permit conditions allows. And on a medium term, we're also looking that predominantly in the city, we are advantaged as compared to other cities, as we do have a number of private landfill airspace that is still available in the city. On the medium term is to look at how can we tap and collaborate with the private landfill airspace that is currently available. Obviously, that process, we started it a long time ago and it has stalled, but we are thinking in future we need to proceed with it. Obviously, in the long term, we'll be looking at mega programs or mega projects. As you are well aware that we had a feasibility study that we have done with GIFA on waste to energy approach, and obviously still part of our plans in the long term.
We need not just legislation that looks good on paper, we need enforcement. Municipal landfill sites also need to comply to regulation. The same high standards imposed upon the private landfill sites need to be imposed at government level. If we look at some other provinces, like in the Western Cape, for example, some of the municipalities' landfill sites are managed by private companies.
We see that private facilities are scrutinized by governments, to comply all the time, and that these facilities are well developed, constructed, operated, and monitored by all parties, through external audits, EMIs, the inspectors, and obviously then the environmental departments.
I think what makes our life difficult, it's mostly around the structural budget impediments that I've mentioned earlier. So if the finances are available, I think all of those issues, we will realize our efficiencies, will create a very tight waste management systems with no challenges.
When we look at this crisis, the crisis unfolds in layers. The secondary layer is where the landfill site system falters, and then illegal dumping increases. We have municipal refuge backlog, as well as the system that is in severe strain, and all of the waste from communities then does not end up where it should be.
And this creates maybe a third layer to the issue, and that's where something that was in the background now comes to the foreground, and that's the consequences for society. Our wetlands and natural areas become polluted, there's air pollution from burning of waste.
And the tragedy with this is that it is not just an environmental crisis, it is a governance crisis that is unfolding within the waste sector. And we see it throughout the metros that it is an increase on illegal dumping, as well as an underspending on waste budget within municipalities, as well as allocated budget to those metropolitans.
So we'll hear municipalities talk about ambitious plans to solve this crisis. But if you look at the current landfill crisis and how the basics aren't even done right, we have to honestly question what solutions are feasible and what not. So we'll look at possibilities that we've seen across the country of how this issue can be solved.
We're filling up our airspace that we've got with materials that should be diverted, and that makes the crisis even bigger. The tendency in Gauteng is it's cheaper to dispose of illegal onto our riverbanks, onto the open areas, than actually taking it to a facility. With the Municipal Finance Management Acts, they are obliged to collect waste from your household and then take it to a disposal facility. Now, private sector can develop landfill facilities. We believe that the only way forward is for private and public to take hands and develop these facilities together. Municipalities, to what we've seen, don't always know what the real cost is. You know, the facilities that I'm involved in from public companies, we see that the rates per ton, operating rates per ton is about 3 times more than what it should be, because of the way it's structured and the way, you know, it's been tendered. Private operators can definitely operate these facilities for, I won't say for a third, but at least for 50% of what the rates is that municipalities currently paying.
Let's look at some of the major cost drivers. Firstly, this is a very staff-intensive business, collecting trash and managing trash. Now, municipalities do not set the salaries for their staff members. Those are set by the South African Local Government Bargaining Council. So we don't have any control over the extent to which those salaries rise. So around 25% of our city currently receives a separated collection, and it's essentially free. That particular service is not charged for separately. It's bundled into the total waste cost for the city. So all of those things, the pressure is always upwards, and it's really tough to manage that and try to be as trim and lean and mean as possible and still deliver the service. The growth of informal settlements in our major cities. If you have a brand new informal settlement of, say, 200 informal structures, very quickly that will turn into a waste nightmare if you don't start collecting waste there quickly. That is not a service that we recoup any charges from. It is entirely free, fully subsidized service. So that is a huge driver of cost. Very quickly, you've got to get onto trying to service those people. Otherwise, you get an extremely unhealthy situation developing with waste mounting up quickly. And it's not like water infrastructure where pipe takes years to crack and collapse. In 48 hours, you can have a pile of waste, you know, bigger than this room if you don't collect it.
We see the day-to-day illegal dumping and pollution into our rivers. Our children will inherit already polluted rivers, river streams. They won't have the luxury of clean water. So for me, from a public perspective, we definitely need to look at to see how we can clean up the environment.
To be quite frank, we are very, very way below in terms of the diversion rates, percentage-wise. I can safely say we're running around 10% and less. And obviously it needs a bit of scale up. And that scale up will actually need a greater participation from our communities as well, and have a broader understanding of the impact of waste and the landfilling as an end process towards waste management, on how it has a direct impact on the services that they are receiving. Most definitely, I think residents need to take active part in waste management, especially around the recycling.
In my previous term as the president of the Institute of Waste Management, I had a lot of calls from people that asked me, where can I take my recyclables to? And with all due respect, in Gauteng, I do not have answers. Because the only people that I can refer them to is maybe a school or maybe a church, but there are no formalized recycling centers operated by a municipality where there are formally recycling taking place. And for me, that's where we should be going. We should be investing monies in material recovery facilities like the Western Cape, because the Western Cape realized that they were running out of airspace about 15 years ago.
From having a facility that's 15 years old, a lot of maintenance needs to go into making sure that the facility is operational. In terms of the planning, and what the City of Cape Town have done exceptionally well is building in redundancy. So we need to look at how we can more efficiently operate these sites to put additional volumes through.
From 2013 onwards, we have to have an engineered liner for waste facilities. A B layer is just one composite liner comprising of an upper drainage layer, a layer of stone, typically 150 millimeters thick, and the size of the stone varies from 38 to 53 millimeter diameter. Then you have a cushion layer, which can either be a geotextile or 100 millimeters of appropriate soil. and the geomembrane and clay component of either compacted clay, 600 millimeters thick, or a GCL. So that's your liner system that you see mostly in a Class B facility.
If you look at the city of Johannesburg, I cannot recall that they do have any of their facilities that do have bottom liners installed. And up till now, there was a tendency where people would just like to apply for height extension, and we will just continue going higher and higher and higher, which is not necessarily wrong, but it actually makes these landfills extremely difficult to rehabilitate and to control in the future.
There seems in some instances to be a bit of reluctance to rope in the private sector to say, hey, come help us, let's work together. So I think an attitude change is required, a more collaborative approach is required.
Number one, to bring industry more together and not to get ideas, but to really honestly let everyone participate together to win this war of waste. Second one is for us, in terms of legislation, to fast track it, to make it easier for access, to make it easier to get things done, and take away some of the bureaucracy and red tape for permitting, licensing, whatever is required. Take away the red tape. The more red tape is taken away within the legislative framework, we're happy, the industry is happy to comply. But the faster we can get this reducing of waste going to landfills, as well as create jobs, lots of jobs. Because the more licenses, permits, plants being set up all over with this resource in terms of organic and inorganic waste, the more jobs we can create without government funding it. It will be a natural process. We don't get the feeling they are there to assist, to guide.
How do we turn this situation around? I think the first place to look at is that waste in many instances shouldn't even end up on a landfill. So solutions should be implemented long before recyclable materials end up in a truck that drives your waste out of the neighborhood to a landfill site.
Separation at source is key. If households, schools and businesses separate recyclables before collection, landfill life can be extended dramatically. This facility behind us exists because separation works, and it works immediately.
And we can see that municipalities also have plans for this, but it brings me back to doing the basics right. Before you can run, you have to learn to walk. So municipalities need to build a foundation upon which a recycling system can be built.
You also need alternatives. Composting, material recovery facilities, and responsible waste-to-energy facilities and technologies do exist. These can help, but they don't eliminate the need for reuse, reduce, and recycle.
The national goal for diverting waste from landfill is 40%. In Gauteng, we lag far behind this goal. On average, about 10% of waste is diverted from landfill. But if you look at Cape Town, where they're still far from perfect, but at least achieving around about 30% diversion, that's a logical place to start looking for examples.
The tools exist, the knowledge exists. What is missing is the constant execution as well as the discipline to maintain it.
For me, a solution is that the municipality should embark on transfer stations. They should embark on recovery facilities to reduce some of the waste streams that are going into landfill. This specific facility that we're sitting here today is a D-liner, and we specifically developed this facility to accept building rubble and garden greens, to take that out of the landfills, the overfilled landfills, that where we can actually then beneficiate these products and put it back into the market. So I would like to see much more of these facilities being developed and constructed. And if you look at the amount of commodities, of recyclables in that waste stream, I would reckon 40% of that is recyclable.
At the moment, we're at our Kraaifontein waste management facility. The facility includes a drop-off for the public. It includes a waste transfer station to support the municipal collection services. Also, it includes a material recovery facility. The intention of this particular operation is to provide logistics support. I think the City of Cape Town is in a unique position where we have 2 operating landfills on the opposite ends of the city. The logistics component between those 2 landfills requires that a transfer of that waste take place just to optimize the transportation. The site at the moment recovers approximately 1,000 tonnes a month of recyclable waste. We service with that material recovery facility approximately 50,000 domestic residences. And the Think Twice program solves that problem by offering a separate collection service for recyclables, which then come to this facility. It undergoes further separation, final recovery, and then distribution out to the various off-takes that will make use of that product.
If you holistically look over Gauteng, yes, there are landfill sites maybe a bit further from the service areas, but that will meet the challenge of further logistics, higher logistical costs, which in turn will go back to the taxpayer, to the resident, which have to foot that bill. Because waste, with every double handling, every additional handling of waste, there's a cost factor. So it all adds up, and eventually it becomes very expensive to transport your waste further distances. Doesn't matter how dense you compact them, whether by rail, whether by road, it's the same. It costs time and it's money.
Cape Town already actually has a RFI document out in the market, and so we are moving actually to the next stage, which is a tender process for a waste to energy plant in Cape Town. The city has, in a way, already done some waste to energy on a small scale. And if you go to our coastal park, we are generating electricity at coastal park from landfill gases. You will see waste to energy happening there. That little center is powered by a waste to energy. So we've got some very small scale examples already working and working well. And now we're in the process of scaling it up quite significantly. I absolutely think that Cape Town has the skills, the talent, the expertise to manage those landfill sites extremely professionally. I think the results speak for themselves. We are working against the clock to expand our landfill space, but one has to believe that the technology now becoming more and more ubiquitous around the world will land in South Africa, and I believe the best landing spot, the best test ground for it is here in Cape Town. Hopefully, if not entirely removing our need for landfill space, certainly dramatically reducing the need for landfill space.
We're going to get a lot more detail around waste composition, which will help drive some of the future decision making within the city. We're starting various projects at the moment looking at how we integrate technology specifically designed to manage municipal services. So what are we tracking, what are we recording, how are we measuring the weights of the containers, can we measure the weight per container per household, and then using all of that data then to help drive efficiencies and implement new solutions.
More importantly for the public, I think that we've got some fantastic legislation. I think we've got a large group of people in the country, in private sector and public sector, that are committed, but we need everybody committed. I'm very concerned that we don't have the appropriate effort being given to enforcement. The costs to society are going to increase, not the costs of waste management, but other costs like the loss of infrastructure and the additional burden on our health services, etc.
After 39 years, we wouldn't have been sitting here if we were not positive about it. So from our perspective, we would like to invest and grow more and involve communities, involve South Africa, to grab something that's around us. It's right there every day in your backyard, and to make waste something positive and not negative.
Here at AfriForum's recyclable waste sorting facility, about 40 tons of waste is diverted from landfill every month. That's a small contribution, but it shows what can be achieved if normal citizens and communities start taking the initiative and not only rely on municipalities.
And can you imagine if every household and every South African, millions of South Africans, start doing separation at source, what the impact would be on the environment as well as on landfills and the lifespan of landfills in South Africa.
So yes, government has a responsibility, but each and every one of us also has the responsibility to reuse, reduce and recycle, and think about what you throw into your waste bin. So that's our responsibility on the one hand, but also to keep our municipalities accountable and ask the questions and put the pressure on them.
And we must hold them accountable. A clean environment isn't a privilege, it's a constitutional right.
But as we can see, unfortunately, a right only stays a right if communities defend them.
So start today. Separate recyclables, support local initiatives of recycling, and demand better service delivery, because the waste we ignore today becomes the crisis we inherit tomorrow.
If you want to support AfriForum's initiatives to solve the landfill crisis, visit www.afriforumdienste.co.za.